The bossa nova, a style originally from Brazil, has been popular in America for generations. Its rhythms still influence and inspire musicians of all genres even to this day. The bossa nova beat for drum set is a good example of a rhythmic structure that is traditionally orchestrated among several percussion instruments played by individual musicians. American jazz drummers such as Art Blakey, Chico Hamilton, and Roger Humphries helped popularize this groove, and it has become a standard beat, one used in many songs still played by musicians today. One version of the bossa nova beat from the Horace Silver composition Song for My Father was made famous by my drumming mentor and private teacher Roger Humphries, whom I apprenticed under at the beginning of my career. This particular beat, and this recording in general, have been important in the development of 3 generations of musicians, and it is considered a modern jazz standard. Today, we will explore this beat and the elements of bossa nova rhythms. To break down this complex groove, let's look at the role played by each limb. For the bossa nova feel, the right hand plays the 16th note subdivision, in this case on the ride cymbal. This 16th note pattern evokes the sound of shakers in traditional bossa nova, which does not use a drum set. It is okay to use the closed hi-hat sound once this pattern is fully mastered. For the left hand, we play the Brazilian clave sound, using the cross-stick sound on the snare, also called a rim click. This is a common sound found in all genres using drum set. The sound itself is created by laying the palm of the hand on the drum head. The tip of the stick should reach beyond the drum's rim, while the stick shaft rests on the rim. Next, you will lift up the tip of the stick with your fingertips, keeping part of your hand as well as the back end of the stick on the drum head. Not much lift is needed here. Bring the stick down onto the rim with just enough force to create the desired volume. Allow your fingers to spread out across the drum head to muffle. Correct hand position is very important in order to create this sound properly. Practice this by itself for a while, listening closely to ensure you're getting a good open tone. Next, practice this rhythm while counting the 16th note subdivision.
And 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and
It may take a while to master this, but once you are comfortable with the right and left hand parts individually, put them together. Remember, go slow and count out loud. For this classic bossa, the feet play a repeating pattern, also called an ostinato. Again, these parts are challenging. Learn them slowly and put them together later. The left foot plays on the upbeat 8th note subdivision, keeping time, while the bass drum plays a unison rhythm with the upright bass, forming the rhythmic foundation. This rhythm would traditionally be played on the Brazilian bass drum called a surdo. Remember, count the 16th note subdivision to make sure you understand how everything fits together. This fun and challenging rhythmic puzzle takes time to master, but the effort is worth it and will eventually pay off. Now, here's the pattern put together. Don't forget to get a copy of Song for My Father by Horace Silver on Blue Note Records. There's lots of cool songs and some really great drumming.
Hi, hopefully you enjoyed today's video about the Bossa Nova. I chose the Bossa Nova because of my relationship with one of the drummers that I mentioned, Roger Humphries. I first met Roger in about 1998. Was the end of my senior year in high school, and I already kind of chosen this path for myself, and I happened upon this particular club in Pittsburgh called James Street. And James Street was known for having great live jazz, and that was something I was really into at the time. Roger Humphries had a jam session for a long time on Tuesday nights at James Street. It was in kind of a rough neighborhood. My mom had to take me the first few times. She wasn't too sure about it, especially because it was a school night. So she would tag along. I would beg her to go. Can we go again this week? And she was pretty supportive about the whole thing. So I eventually introduced myself to Roger, and I just found his playing so inspiring. And his sound and his presence behind the drums really, I felt a connection with that, and I knew that I needed to know more about what he was doing. I worked up the nerve to ask him one night, I told him, I said, Mr. Humphries, I'm a drummer, I want to play this music, you have to teach me, okay? And he kind of sized me up, looked me up and down. I think at the time he was about 55 and had traveled the world, played with Horace Silver, Ray Charles, some pretty famous names for sure. And I told him he had to teach me to play the drums, and he must have seen something in me, and he kind of sized me up for a second, and he said, "Okay, baby boy, I'll teach you. Come back next Tuesday." So I went back the next week, and he gave me his phone number, and I contacted him and started taking lessons. And the lessons were at his house, in his basement, with his pool table and record collection and drums. It was really a fun time. It was more of a hang. He would tell me stories. We would play. We would listen. He would play. I would play. He would show me specific things. We would talk about conceptual things. He's a really knowledgeable man. He's very deep, very articulate, kind of sly, witty sense of humor. His family is also very wonderful. I had dinner at their house many times. One time I almost had to stay the night because my battery died in my car, and it was during the winter time. And Roger welcomed me into his home and into his family and into the jazz family in Pittsburgh. And I credit him with a lot of my development and my love, not only for the music and for the drums, but for sort of passing the torch to the next generation. That's something that's always been big in the jazz community. And his jam session was really helpful to me too. Scared the daylights out of me to get up there and play in front of all those heavy musicians and an audience who really knew about music too. But jam sessions have always been important in the jazz community for the development of young musicians. Roger Humphries is still active in Pittsburgh to this day. You should definitely see him, check him out if you're ever in town. Just look for the name RH Factor. That's the name he uses for his various ensembles. So I hope you enjoyed the video.